Vidyapati was a poet who lived in the 14th century in eastern India. Bhagwan Shiv disguised himself and came as a servant by the name Ugna. It was his own wish to do so. What a mind-boggling story! The master of the universe became the servant of his devotee. Spiritual thinking is a wonderful thing. It helps us find meaning and purpose in life and connect with the sacred. But divine thinking takes us even further. It imbues our every thought with love or devotion or bhakti. Divine thinking is so enthralling that it enchants even the all-powerful God who becomes enslaved by his devotees' love. This is what happened with Vidyapati. He was a poet saint who lived in the 14th century in eastern India. And his works resulted in the creation of many East Indian languages such as Maithili, Bhojpuri, Odia and Bengali. He is known as Maithili Kavi Kokil or the cuckoo poet saint of Mithila. Vidyapati was a devotee of Lord Shiva. Bhagwan Shiv was so impressed by his devotion that he disguised himself and came as a servant by the name Ugna. Not knowing his Ishtdev's identity, Vidyapati engaged Ugna in his personal service, and Ugna accompanied Vidyapati on many travels around the country. On one such journey, they were on arid land and Vidyapati became exhausted. He had not drunk water for a long time. Feeling pity on him, Lord Shiva, who always has the Ganga in the locks of his hair, took out a glass of water and offered to Vidyapati. On drinking it, he felt this water was different. It was the sacred Ganga Jal, and he inquired from Ugna where he had got it from. Now, being forced to reveal his identity, Ugna showed his form as Gangeshwar. Vidyapati was filled with regret. I engaged my worshipable Lord in my personal service. But Lord Shiva assured him it was his own wish to do so. And he said, I will stay with you on the condition you will not reveal my identity to anyone. Vidyapati agreed, but then knowingly how to engage Bhagavan in his service. So Vidyapati would go to great pains to ensure Ugna's personal comfort. And that disturbed Vidyapati's wife, who started getting irritated with the servant Ugna. And one day, for no reason, she started scolding him and took a stick and beat him. Vidyapati was shocked and blurted out, "What are you doing? He is Bhagwan Shiva." He now realized his mistake. He had broken the promise of not revealing the identity of his Ishdev, and Lord Shiva or Ugna disappeared from there. The disturbed poet saint then searched for his Ugna in villages and cities, in caves and temples and forests. Bhagwan Shiva, in the form of Ugna, finally gave him darshan again in a place which is today known as Ugnasthan, and instructed him to carry on with his life mission of revealing the glories of Bhakti. What a mind-boggling story! The master of the universe became the servant of his devotee. Let me read about it to you from the power of thoughts. The scriptures repeatedly sing the glories of Nishkam Bhakti, selfless devotion. In the Bhagavatam, Lord Narayan declares, Aham Bhakta Paradhino Hyaswatantra Ivadvija Sadhubhir Grasta Ridayo Bhaktair Bhakta Janapriyaha. 9th Canto, 4th Chapter, 63rd verse. Translation: I get enslaved by those devotees who love me selflessly, free from material desires. I do not remain independent, for they capture my heart. What to speak of them? Even the devotees of my devotees are exceedingly dear to me. Again, in the Srimad Bhagavat Mahapuran, Vyas writes from the side of God, Nirupeksham munim shantam nirvairam samadarshanam anubrajamyaham nityam puyeyetyam ghrirenubhi. Lord Krishna says that I walk behind my selfless, pure devotees. Now what does that mean? God ahead and the devotee behind? No, the devotee in front and God following behind. My Lord, why do you do that? Sri Krishna says, I wait for the dust of the feet of my devotees to rise and fall upon me, that I may be purified by it. So surprising. God, Bhagavan, is Pavanam Pavananam. He purifies the pure, and yet His sentiments towards those who are adept at divine thinking, devotional, selfless love is that I can be purified by the dust of their feet. What then is this entity called Bhakti? Various scriptures and sages have described it in many ways. The Gopal Tapani Upanishad of the Vedas states, Bhajanam Bhakti, Bhajanam Nama Rasanam. Bhakti means to take the mind to God and relish His divine bliss. Maharshi Kapil, an avatar of God, explains in the Srimad Bhagavat Mahapuran that just as the holy Ganges begins from Gomukh ahead of Gangotri, a small hole the size of a cow's hoof, from the face of the Himalayas, and then continues its journey until it meets the Bay of Bengal at Ganga Sagar. Likewise, if all our thoughts could become godly and flow in the direction of God, that would be Bhakti. Jagadguru Shankaracharya gave this analogy. He said, take a potato, stick needles into it. Those needles will remain lodged because they are hard while the potato is soft. Likewise, if all our thoughts can stick in God, which means become imbued in God consciousness, that will be Bhakti. Vyas says, look, I have written the Vedant, listen from me. Bhajityesha vaidhatu sevayam parikirtita tasmat seva budhai prokta bhakti sadhana bhuyasi. This word Bhakti comes from the root word bhaj. And bhaj means to serve or seva. Hence, Bhakti is service of the Supreme Divine Beloved, Bhagavan, and His representative, the Guru. My spiritual master Jagadguru Sri Kripaluji Maharaj explains that Bhakti is a divine power or a Shakti of God. This Bhakti is of two kinds. One is Sadhana Bhakti and the other is Sidh Bhakti. Sadhana Bhakti is preparatory devotion that you and I engage in to take the mind to God and purify our hearts. This is the practice stage which helps prepare the vessel of the heart. And once the heart is ready, at that time Bhagavan, through the via media of the Guru, bestows that divine love which is called Sidh Bhakti. It is an aspect of his Yoga Maya, divine Shakti. And the moment that divine Bhakti is received, what happens? Vidyate Ridya Granthis Chidyante Sarva Sanshaya Kshiyante Chasya Karmani Tasmin Drishte Paravare. The Shvetashvatar Upanishad of the Yajurveda states that the bonds of Maya are cut asunder. The accumulated sanchit karmas of endless lifetimes are burnt to ashes. The ignorance within is dispelled, and from that moment onwards, the soul is united with God. The sage Narad, who wrote the Bhakti Darshan, and you can hear about that in my lectures on the Narad Bhakti Darshan. He writes, Tat prapya tadevavalokayati, tadeva shrinoti, tadeva chintayati, tadeva bhashyati. The devotee who has received divine love always speaks of God, hears of God, thinks of God, and meditates upon God. The consciousness becomes one with God in selfless divine